So he created this FBA concept. And FBA is basically a group of online weirdos. You can call it a lineage if you want. That's fine. Understand, other people that are connected to your lineage are a group of online weirdos. That there is reason to critique some Black immigrants, especially in the media space, on their anti-Blackness. You can do that. That is a real thing. There is a propensity for behavior to come from Black immigrant populations.
Might have to drop a dime on this.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
You gotta stop it.
I don't like that shit.
For sure, bro.
I don't like that shit.
All right, y'all, we back with another video, man. Y'all know how we do. Always pushing health, wealth, and a better understanding of self. So check this out in this video, y'all. We going over Poetik Flakko and FD Signifier. They talking down on FBA. Now, we know this ain't nothing new. I just did a video on the Southern Poverty Law Center. Okay, just got indicted for paying informants, you know, to do these staged events, kind of to scare Black people off. Okay, we kind of already been calling that out on my channel. They doing these staged events just to try to keep us intact. So a lot of influence is going on. Now, I never heard of this guy, FD Signifier. I seen his face. You know, he got a big following in Poetik Flakko. Poetik made a great case. I'm going to break down some things that he said. But this FD Signifier guy, I think that they're being paid to discredit a grassroots movement. See, Tariq Nasheed has Black people that's funding his projects. And the last thing that, you know, these big businesses need is for Black people to realize that they can fund their own projects. To me personally, this is the real reason behind all of this FBA talk. Because it's uniting people and it's making Black people understand that they need to stick together and start pooling their resources together. This is what Tariq Nasheed is doing, is waking up other Black people, in my opinion. So now we got people that have to call Tariq Nasheed a grifter. We just had Omar Johnson just said that he created a group to go against FBA. I forget what it's called. It's DFA, something about descendants of Africans here in America. Nobody has called that out yet. Okay, we have, you know, people that's, but nobody else, none of these people aren't saying anything about Dr. Umar. Why are they talking about Tariq Nasheed? We know that this is paid informants. These are paid, you know, discredit ads that's going to stop people from pulling their money together. This is just what I think. Now, I'm going to play y'all a little bit of Poetik Flakko and FD Signifier. I want to know what y'all think. Check it out.
FD Signifier just went crazy, crashed out, and unleashed on Tariq Nasheed. Now, watching this video, I was torn because on one hand, I'm African. So for clear and obvious reasons, you could see why I would be rooting in favor of FD Signifiers and Cam James' ideology. But then on the other hand, I'm friends with Tariq Nasheed, if y'all even think that's possible. FD made some pretty strong declarations during this video. He will label and declare Tariq Nasheed's group, FBA, as white supremacist and blackface. He would even make a comparison between FBA and Trump's MAGA and FBA and Nick Fuentes' America's First, claiming they're one of the same. They're the same group of people, just different skin tones. Tariq Nasheed has said that FBA is not a group, is actually a description for a group of people, you know, who share the same lineage. That's his explanation for it. Now, I'll be real. I feel like you kind of have to say it's not a group, because once you start labeling something a group, once you start saying this is a group, well, a group has to have a leader. And then once you identify yourself as the leader, you're now responsible for that group. So let's just say somebody who identifies as FBA, goes out and do something very horrible. Right now, the federal government is looking at Tariq Nasheed and looking at the group now and trying to put, identifiers on it. So it's very smart to say it's not a group.
All right, so Poetik Flakko gonna say it's very smart not to call it a group. But is it a group, Flakko? Stop saying it's smart or it's not. It's not a group. It's not a group of people. There's nobody having meetings and anything like that. There's no chapters. So it's like, we gotta call it what it is. Stop saying it's not a lineage, it's a group. It's like, y'all just really mad. We're hearing it from people that are mad and they don't like the names that FBA been calling them. This is, I think, some of the reason. Part of it is they're getting paid, but it's not a group. Stop trying to make it fit into a group. Just be real with yourself and say it's not a group. Poetik trying to say it's smart that it's not a group so nobody don't go to jail. It's like, I'm already hearing suspect behavior.
Now, FD would also go in on Tariq Nasheed, claiming that Tariq Nasheed is a fraud and a grifter, and he doesn't like him and never liked him.
But no, I'm not. I don't have any Jamaican, Nigerian, Caribbean, or African direct descents.
Said earlier, here's the official FBA website. I told y'all he built this, and at the bottom it says Foundational Black Americans. Let's throw that joint in the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office site, and boom, that's your boy, right? Just in case you needed more proof, the earliest recorded mention of the site's URL happened on October 7th of 2020 when he was trying to sell y'all FBA mini flags. The earliest mention of the term is hard to pinpoint, but he was using it on another one of his sites in 2019. Here's proof of him creating the term in the first place, claiming he adapted it from Dr. Claude Anderson's Native Black Americans term. The FBA movement started as Tangibles 2020 in the lead up to the 2020 election.
Man, we don't need to be on no 80. So that's the first thing, because people be like, FBA is a lineage. And it's like, if you're telling me y'all made up a new term, I get you, but it was made by King Grifter. Let's start that out first. This video is now top 10 reasons I own FBA ADOS in no particular order. Number one is everything FBA is as a record label, a crew, a clique, and a crew. Everything that's ever been done by Tariq Nasheed is awful just because he's involved with it. I don't care if Tariq Nasheed saved 2 babies from a burning building. Like, I'm happy those babies are alive, but it would have been better if he sacrificed himself in the process. Okay, Tariq Nasheed is King Grifter. I talked about him a long time ago. I'm gonna have to come back to it now.
All right, so he says that he did a video before on Tariq Nasheed, but now all of a sudden he has to come back to it. Now y'all seen we had 19 Keys, we had James Small, we got all of these people one after another. They not all doing it at the same time. They're using new people to keep it going. It's like they need this pressure on calling Tariq Nasheed a grifter to keep black people from pooling their resources together. Y'all, you can't make this up. This is the real. There's no other reason for him to be calling out a black man a grifter that has black people supporting his projects. There's no reason.
But he's just been like an awful dude for years at this point. And he was connected to another group, ADOS, which started out as something that a lot of people seemed cool with, but over time eventually showed his ass. And we'll talk about that later. So he created this FBA concept. And FBA is basically a group of online weirdos. You can call it a lineage if you want. That's fine. Understand, other people that are connected to your lineage are a group of online weirdos.
Now, objectively speaking, Tariq Nasheed has done something positive. He's done Hidden Colors. Hidden Colors, before the internet, had no negative reviews. Like, Hidden Colors went triple platinum in the black community. My question is, with Tariq Nasheed's current messaging, does that take away from Hidden Colors? Because Hidden Colors, for the most part, is a Pan-African film. It's acknowledging we all started here, but we're at all ends of the globes, and it's important to connect with the diaspora. Like, that's what Hidden Colors was about, right? Where Tariq Nasheed goes and he shows, Africans exist here, Africans exist here, Africans exist somewhere in Asia, right? We're all over the planet, and it's important to connect with our people. But Tariq Nasheed currently, you can say, is an isolationist. So if you're an isolationist, does that interfere with how Hidden Colors is going to age to his audience? But FD will blankly call the FBA dudes weirdos. Now, I'm very hesitant, even though you can look at the online activity and probably come to that conclusion, I'm very hesitant to label and describe a group of people based on a niche community online. Because what FD is talking about, he's talking about the dudes who are on Twitter where they're under the comment section of every immigrant calling us racial slurs, right? Calling us tethers, right? The tether hairline, right? Now, they will say that tether is an actual description of an immigrant who come here to cosplay as a Black American. That's what they will say. But then they say tether hairline. Oh, tether babble. Tether this, tether that, right? Like you wouldn't say tether hairline if it was not a racial slur, right? If it was a description for somebody who come here and cosplay as a Black American, then like you would use it as it's defined. The minute you start to use it outside of the actual definition and description, it then becomes a racial slur because you're using it to dehumanize somebody.
This is crazy. So now they saying they want to categorize tether as a racial slur when it's different races that can get that name tether. Okay, not just melanated people. We don't call Spanish people, white people tethers. Like, what are they talking about? I think that they just want to be a part so bad that they feel like now they want to use racial slurs of when we try to call out somebody that's cosplaying us. It's real, Flakko. I'm sorry. If people cosplayed your people and your culture, you will understand where we're coming from. But now it just seems like y'all trying to push racial slurs to try to get people from saying tether, but it's not gonna stop.
Based on what? You know, like their lineage or the country they're from. And it's wrong, right? It's wrong. But I don't know how many, FBA members or people who identify as FBAs, I don't know how many of them truly identify with the online activity.
They're like Black 4chaners, Black Reddit energy, a bunch of white nationalists and blackface. You say they ain't just online, I'll take your word for it. I've never encountered these niggas in the wild. Now, they may flow into different versions of hotepery, which has always been here, but the people that like brand themselves with ADOS are just a lot of online weirdos. So,
ADOS, man, we need to be banned.
It was 2020.
Let's listen to that one more time.
2020 election.
Man, we don't need to be on no ADOS, man. We need to be Pan-African. That's what Pan-Africanism is. Us fight for everybody else to come over here and get some of the resources that we've helped accumulate for them, and then they turn around and say, okay, thank you, Wakata, and I'm about to go work with these white people.
Back then, Tariq was in
There's so much to unpack there. Tragedy. Let's first steel man where some of this comes from and talk about that term Akata. A term I literally, my entire life, I just told y'all I grew up around Nigerians. I have never heard that term my entire life in real life. I've never heard that term my entire life. I am 43 years old. I grew up around Nigerians. I hung with Africans, dated the baddest Sierra Leonean chick at my school, at Clark. Never got hate from Africans in any form or fashion.
Okay, so he bring up a term that tethers use against us, and he doesn't have the same energy. See, it's not the same energy when people do this to us. That's how we know this is political. This isn't just FD Signifier didn't have to do a video about this. He got 1 million. They say he has 1 million followers. I don't know, but why would you have to do a video out this blue about Tariq Nasheed? It's not like it's a lot of people that's creating content for FBA. They don't even follow what Tariq Nasheed, his content. We just support our people when they're doing something, just like we support Mr. Tenderism. We're supporting our people right now when this is bringing bad results in the market, especially for Pan-Africans. For everybody that think that they're going to be benefiting off of us, their gig is up.
But the problem with this is FD is undermining the experiences of a large group of people, right? If a large group is telling you, hey, we experienced this at the hands of these group of people, then it will be silly to say, no, you didn't, because my experiences were positive. If their experiences were not positive, then, then that's fair, right? They have a right to express, hey, I was called a kata, hey, I was called this. They have a right to express it. But what I do think is often done is they will want their experience to be acknowledged, right? FBA will say, hey, this happened to me. These immigrants be undermining us. They're pompous. They treat us like this. And that's fair, right? That's the lived experience. But then an immigrant will say, hey, I was called, like African booty scratcher. Hey, I was called this growing up. Hey, I was called this growing up. Hey, y'all was really mean to me for being African. Hey, y'all did this. And then the FBA will say, man, stop it, bro. Man, bro, stop lying, bro. Man, what you mean, bro? What, so you got teased as a kid? That's it? Nah, man, all right, bro. And it's like, damn, okay, so if we're able to acknowledge your lived experience, you're incapable of acknowledging their lived experience? I've always said, Africans who are anti-Black exist. Jamaicans who are anti-Black exist. Immigrants who are anti-Black exist.
All right, so Flakko made a great point. It is a lot of Caribbeans, Africans, they are anti-Black. But what I'm trying to say is, if you are anti-Black against a grassroots movement, that's a different type of anti-Black. It's okay that you like, man, you don't like, it's your preference where you don't like Americans. It's something that you've been through. But when you go out and you try to tear down a grassroots movement that we're trying to do and tear down somebody's name, it's more hate that we feel like it's politicized hate. With these 19 kids, with these guys that claim that they're so intellectual, it's like we know that Steve Coakley taught us well, and he taught us that the little hats like to control, brothers who they educate.
But there are also, right, Black Americans who were born and raised here who are also anti-Black. But somehow, I think FBA is holding all immigrants for the actions and the sins of a specific group, of a very small group of people who are anti-Black. And it's like, hold on, if we held all native-born Black Americans to the crimes and sins of a select few who are anti-Black, that would be unfair. So why do it to us?
I'm not saying it don't exist. What I'm saying is FBA people will make you think that Akata is some type of like deeply rooted anti-Black slur that they grew up singing Negro spirituals about. ADOS and FBA people think Nigerians are the Black Targaryens. Or what were the actual Black Targaryens? They were the Valerians. That's who ADOS actually think Nigerians are. Real talk. They talk about Nigerians like they're supervillains. It's hilarious. They talk about being called Akata as if African booty scratch wasn't a comeback. So Juicy made a very good video about this now 4 years ago, right? I love Juicy's analysis. Juicy's very balanced, but very principled. I'm gonna just put this in the description or whatever. If you want to talk about that there is reason to critique some Black immigrants, especially in the media space, on their anti-Blackness, you can do that. That is a real thing. There is a propensity for behavior to come from Black immigrant populations. Oh, there's critiques to make about Black immigrant populations and specifically their relationship with the media and how they're amplified in media. There's definitely a conversation about that. There's a conversation to have about anti-Blackness from those populations, because there is a propensity for anti-Blackness. Because first off, anti-Blackness, as I said in another video, everybody's got anti-Blackness in them. Every single last one of us. Now, you're either actively negotiating and fighting against it internally, you're actively resisting anti-Black tendencies, or you just actively are in it, or you act like you don't, but you do. That's just the reality of the situation. Nobody is immune to conditioning of the media and how we're meant to look and think of Blackness, regardless of if that Blackness is American born or internationally born. And so what happens, I talked about this with Foreign Man years ago as well, is that when you are Black, but you're not from America, it's easy to just assume that Black Americans are just out our minds. My parents are Jamaican. They grew me and my siblings up with the whole Black Americans are ghetto. They don't have a culture like us. Thankfully, me and most Americanized siblings have been able to change their mind. Yeah, because that's what's taught outside of America. America exports an image of Black Americans to be this deranged, uncivilized, barbaric thing to incentivize the idea that we are deserving of our treatment and condition here. They have to present us like this to the world. The world will be looking at what they're doing to us like, how is this something y'all are doing? Why is this supposed to be cool? People fall in line with that. And it takes a generation to be here to realize, oh, wait, no. Foreign Man's talked about this before. He was like, yo, when I came from the Bahamas to Iowa, of all places, I had a particular belief and disposition toward Black Americans that something was wrong with y'all. And after spending a little bit of time in this space and how I was regarded, it started to make sense. But not everybody has that. The crux of how this diaspora wars 80 started is a response to what is ultimately a white supremacist tactic to pit foreign-born Black people against domestically born Black Americans.
Okay, so FD Signifier, he explains that it is a narrative that white supremacy pushing Black immigrants, and I don't like to say Black immigrants, melanated immigrants come to America, and their ideology about Black people is negative from what they want them to believe. So think about that. So why would you be calling out FBA, right? When you know that there is definitely a connection with white supremacy and brainwashing melanated people to look at Black Americans in a way to where it could even be disrespectful. If they tricked you that bad, you need to be called out. It's a need for this. That's off-code behavior. And instead of you talking about FBA people of, calling people out, why aren't you calling out these people? Why aren't y'all saying anything about the immigrants that take the side of white supremacy and talk bad about Black Americans? Y'all don't speak up on that. So we're going to keep stepping in what we're doing because we feel that this is right. We feel like we're doing God's work, okay? There's no reason why y'all shouldn't be calling out your own just like we call out our own. If the FBA is doing something off code, just like we did with 19 Keys, James Smalls, any of these guys, we're calling them out. Y'all don't call out your coons. But let me know what y'all think in the comment section. I had to go over this. I'm a little late on this video. Y'all know we are going live tonight and tomorrow. We getting ready for that meet and greet. I appreciate everybody who tapping in. I will catch y'all on the next video. Peace and love.
A community must have three things to have a community in it. You must have a wholly independent economic structure that can provide goods, service, products, and things for your own people, and jobs and tax spaces for your own people. You should at least control 4 basic things. You should be trying to control water, food, medicine, and energy to be able to survive and compete.
Here we got Mr. Pollock. He had a cornfield. He took advantage of a free water test from us, and this is what we found in this water. We found sulfur, we found hardness, and we solved these problems with an easy fix of 2 tanks. So get your free water test today. Stay blessed. Click the link below.